Okay, so for this video, we're going to be talking about some modifications that you can make just while sitting, and including in your car or vehicle, to assist with positioning, alignment, and decreasing stress, strain, compression, collapse, all those things that might be causing you some problems. So first thing is the use of a stool. So you can't see it all that well, but this is about like a step stool. It's like an 8-inch step stool. So you can probably find some things or build some things if you're handy. That could be like a little platform to raise yourself up. You have to kind of first determine how high you need it to be. So in this case, that 8 inches. So that might be too high, at least to start with for some people. And depending on what you need. So say if it's on this side here, I want to imagine like if that's the side that I know my pelvis tends to roll forward on, I also may notice that knee tends to come out and forward, like pissing out that way. That pulls my pelvis out from under me, and my body, my trunk will collapse on top of that, which can also affect things up the chain into my neck, shoulder, etc. So to correct that, it's not about leveling the pelvis like vertically like that. It's more about roll that wheel kind of rolling back to better align my hip, and better I can also, if I have my hands free, not while driving, but I can kind of pull that back like a piston and kind of guide it to tuck under me, and also leverage my chest forward over top of it. I can do this as a stretch. And just like the functional fetal position, I want to imagine that as I do this, I want these hip flexors on the crease here, kind of on the upper thigh, and deeper into that crease area around that pelvis. I want to get a sense that those are able to relax. Maybe I'm getting a little stretch in my buttock area. Maybe engaging my core to anchor my lower ribs back and roll that pelvis back to help that along. Maybe sucking in my tummy a little bit to create some space and get into them like deeper. I do want to keep my chest forward. I want to like collapse here. I want to stay tall and forward with my chest. Maybe get into that stretch and that really, feel that. Just make sure it's not pinching or painful like in the groin or in the hip area. I want to get more of a stretch and kind of opening things up, and then just kind of hanging out there. Now again, this is pretty high. It's going to be a little bit of work to shift your weight over and up forward with your chest on top of it, and it may not be comfortable for long periods of time. But again, the goal is to get more engagement of your gluteal muscles and your core and less of the hip flexors. Now if that's too much, or you don't think you can keep it there for very long, then you can use something like this. This is maybe like 3 inches depth. So it's kind of like a heel lift, but again, I'm not lifting my pelvis. Both sides of my pelvis are still sitting flush, but relatively it's gonna leverage to turn that wheel to help roll the pelvis back. And then for me to adjust, and you do need to make sure that you are adequately adjusting, because you don't wanna get a sense that it's like feeding you over here. But if the pelvis is in fact rolling back, it should actually align things in a way that makes it easier to keep more weight there, because that usually indicates it's the stronger side. The side that's more rolled back is usually the stronger side that you're naturally putting more weight on. So if it's forward, we want to make sure we can get it rolled back to at least balance you out that way. We don't want to feel like that is the one that's forward, because that's where you're going to keep perpetuating the same kind of problems, right? And I can try it on the other side just to kind of compare and see how that feels. So for me, this one's more natural because this is my problem side over here. That doesn't feel like it changes much. When I do it here, I can feel the difference. I can feel that it aligns things. It actually helps me to better engage my core. Like it activates things. It uninhibits, right? So when you're here, it inhibits it. Here, it helps it to uninhibit itself so it can function more properly and get away from those tightnesses that tend to build in those areas. That's really helpful. And then the next thing, which is kind of simple, if you're in a car or if you have a sturdy table or desk, you can use that. But imagining that kind of like that convergence to come together and like lift up. So you can use your steering wheel, kind of lift up into that steering wheel. Again, like you're lifting your body, in that sense of like pushing down to lift up, almost like you're gonna stand up out of your seat. Really helpful. And with that stool too, if you push into it, like imagine yourself starting to stand up, you'll really feel that connection there. So it doesn't have to be full force, but you want to try to use that to help engage those muscles, because otherwise just pushing with your leg may not be enough. So you want to imagine like you're actually standing, because your brain knows what to do with that. Okay, it's just very different than just pushing like a shovel, like just thinking a shovel like this versus actually getting over top of it. Very different feeling. Same thing here with the wheel or the table. Try to lift up into it. What you don't want to do, especially on a table, is like lean down like this, because then you're just going to collapse, and you'll feel that even down to your back and your hip. So you want to feel like the lift off of those legs and core.